Bitcoin is going to run out at every price because institutional investors are going to buy all of it. In this video, I want to explain to you why I think this is going to be the case and why I think that retail investors are not going to get their share of the pie. Let's get started. First of all, let's go through what institutional investors are. You can see here institutional investors are organizations that manage and invest large sums of money on behalf of others rather than their own personal funds. These entities include entities like mutual funds, pension funds, insurance companies, endowments, and hedge funds. They play a significant role in financial markets by pooling funds and making investments in various assets. So this would include something like BlackRock, or it would include something like Fidelity. It would include something like Coinbase, MicroStrategy, all these companies that are maybe their specific type isn't listed here, but all of these companies are buying as much Bitcoin as they can. And that money is money that would have been going to stocks and real estate. So we can see here institutional investors are professional entities, not individuals, that invest on behalf of a larger group or organization. What do? They manage and invest massive sums of money, often with the goal of achieving specific investment objectives for their clients or beneficiaries. So what these guys do is they try to buy the best assets they possibly can in order to help their clients get the best possible return. We can see some examples of these companies here. For example, Microstrategy is a publicly traded company. They're buying as much Bitcoin as they can. Their shareholders know exactly what they're doing. They can create more shares, they can sell them into the market, and they can buy as much Bitcoin as they want to. Basically, what they're doing is they're sharing the wealth with as many people as possible, and they're trying to buy as much Bitcoin as they can. They're trying to create a massive lead between themselves and really anybody else in the world. Even governments don't have as much Bitcoin as they have. So, for example, the United States government has 198,000 Bitcoin reportedly. China has 190,000 Bitcoin. We can even look at private companies. 164,000 Bitcoin is the highest. Bitcoin ETFs. The only institution we can see here that has more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is here at 597,000 Bitcoin. The Bitcoin ETF from BlackRock holds 692,000 Bitcoin. Now, you might be thinking that it's too late. All of these institutions have all of the Bitcoin. There's nothing left for you to buy. I think that we're so early into the real adoption of Bitcoin where people are actually using it as a way to transfer value, to store value, to account for value. Most people have no idea what Bitcoin is. A lot of people haven't even heard about Bitcoin. The people who have heard about Bitcoin, probably 99% have no clue what it is. Even the people who own Bitcoin have no idea, what it is. A lot of the people who own Bitcoin have no clue what they're holding. Over time, what you're going to see is that Bitcoin is going to move from the people who don't understand it, the people who want to sell it. Maybe they want to sell it and then they want to buy back cheaper. Maybe they want to give it up before a bear market so they don't have to go through the pain of seeing the price drop. These people are going to sell their Bitcoin when they think that the top of the bull market is in, and then they're never going to be able to buy back because these institutions are buying as much as they can. MicroStrategy, like I said, is printing shares to buy more Bitcoin. They're locking it up. They're probably going to keep it for decades. So if you think you're too late, think about how MicroStrategy is buying thousands of Bitcoin every single week. Think about how BlackRock is buying thousands of Bitcoin for its clients every single week. I've been paying attention to this site for a while, and I've been trying to take a look at how many companies are buying Bitcoin. So we can see here entities holding Bitcoin. This includes public companies, private companies, government entities, all of these different entities that can hold Bitcoin. These companies are trying to find the best performing asset for themselves and for their shareholders. They're trying to give their shareholders the highest possible return, as they should. So they're buying as much Bitcoin as they possibly can to give that return to their shareholders. So if these companies are just starting to buy as much Bitcoin as they can, do you think that you're too late? I think that as long as Bitcoin can be priced in the US dollar, we're still early. If people are willing to accept dollars for their Bitcoin, We're still early. If the price comes down, that's perfectly fine. Over the long term, we know that the value of Bitcoin is going to keep rising because it's the only finite asset in the world. I had a one on one consultation with someone who asked me why they should buy Bitcoin ASAP. Why not wait until Bitcoin's price crashes so that they can take advantage of the lower prices at some point? I think that we are in a completely different cycle. All of these colorful dots here show you what Bitcoin's price was at the end of the day. So, for example, on December 13th, 2017, Bitcoin's price was $16,287. I think the price and these daily movements are a distraction because if you look at what Bitcoin is fundamentally, it's just money. It's a way for you to transfer value to other people. Most people haven't understood this yet. So, of course, what they're going to do is they're going to trade it. They're going to buy and sell when they think the price is going up or down. So, they're going to make a lot of emotional decisions. And because of that, the price is going to fall sometimes, then it's going to go up. I told her that the most important thing to focus on isn't the dots, it's the line underneath it. So, let me get rid of the distraction. Now you can see Bitcoin's price over 4-year periods only goes up. I think that because companies like MicroStrategy are printing shares and they're creating specific financial products to buy more Bitcoin, they're going to extract a lot of value from the bond market and they're going to bring it into Bitcoin. The bond market is worth $300 trillion today. So, all of these different shares, these preferred shares that they're creating, they're a way to give somebody a fixed return on their money. So, if somebody has money and they want to lend it to MicroStrategy, they can, and they can get a fixed dividend over time. What MicroStrategy does is it takes the proceeds and it puts it into Bitcoin. So MicroStrategy is buying Bitcoin with money that it borrows from people who are willing to give it away to get a fixed return on their investment. There's no end to the number of people who are willing to do this. They want stability. MicroStrategy is giving them stability. There are tens of millions of people in the United States alone that want fixed income because they're not working. So MicroStrategy is filling that gap by creating a brand new product and putting all of the proceeds into Bitcoin. This is part of that flywheel effect that I described in one of my other videos where I talked about how over time, MicroStrategy is going to get more and more powerful in its Bitcoin accumulation strategy. I think it's important to consider that these companies are going to continue to buy. There are going to be more and more institutions buying over time. And as these institutions buy Bitcoin, they're going to take the supply out of the market and they're going to lock it up for years or even decades into the future. I recommend that you monitor this number here, entities holding Bitcoin. Right now it's at 255. Not too long ago, it was at 197, I remember from one of my videos. The greatest thing about this is that if you hold Bitcoin, these institutions are going to offer more and more dollars until Bitcoin runs out at every single price. So right now it's at 108,000. At some point, they'll be offering 110,000, and they'll be offering 120,000, then 130, 150, 200, 300, because they have an unlimited supply of money. You have to also look at the supply, of course, because Bitcoin has a finite supply. The people who own Bitcoin eventually run out of Bitcoin. So they can only sell it once. Germany was only able to sell 50,000 Bitcoin once. Anyone who wants to sell their Bitcoin, they can sell it, but eventually the sellers run out because the buyers are relentlessly buying. The amount of money that can come into this market is infinite. The US dollar can be printed out of nothing. And then on top of all of that, the big beautiful bill has increased the US debt ceiling by $5 trillion, meaning the US government can flood the economy with an additional $5 trillion. They can borrow money and they can put it into the market, they can spend it on whatever they want to, and they can just keep flooding the market with more and more money to make sure that their system doesn't collapse. I guarantee you that a lot of this money is going to find its way into Bitcoin and it's going to make the price explode. All of these institutions are going to offer you more and more money to take your Bitcoin off your hands because they want your Bitcoin and they know that if you don't understand it, you're going to have a price at which you're going to sell. So don't fall for it. Don't fall for Wall Street's tricks. You are still early. You can still buy as much Bitcoin as you want to. Create value, buy as much Bitcoin as you can. It's still doable if you want to get to 1 Bitcoin, to 0.1 Bitcoin, to half a Bitcoin. If you put in the time, effort, energy to create value, you can get to your goal and then you can sit back and benefit from all of these institutions fighting for every single Bitcoin that they can possibly get. And just a side note, I wanted to mention how the Bitcoin Explained community now has 104 members. If you're still interested in joining, you can. $40 per month gives you direct access to me through live Q&As. You can ask any questions you have. You have a classroom with a lot of lessons. If you go to the classroom section, you can see there's tons of content here. There's also a Bitcoin misconceptions ebook. So if you haven't started buying Bitcoin yet, I highly recommend you check out the link in the description below for a free trial. Other than that, don't get distracted. Don't focus on the price. The price is a distraction, just like I showed you with the 4-year chart. Focus on the long term. Think about what's going to happen in 4 years, 5 years, 10 years if you hold on to your Bitcoin versus if you were to sell it. Don't get distracted by the material things that you can potentially buy with your Bitcoin. Eventually, they're going to get way, way cheaper. I think the goal right now should be to just accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible and just watch things unfold the way that Bitcoiners have been saying that they will over the last 15 years.